Hey, what's up guys and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today I will be analyzing the final between Axelsens and Antonsen. Recently I did a poll on the channel where you could vote which final match I should analyze next, and 63% voted for Axelsens versus Antonsen, so I'm gonna do that today. Before the match starts, we already know that Axelsens is a massive favorite since he dominated in the previous two tournaments leading up to the World Tour Finals, beating everyone. Not just beating everyone, but dominating everyone. There was no opponent who could really scare Axelsens to make you think, oh, Axelsens could lose. So he was on a winning streak, he won all matches, but in this match, Antonsen could stop his compatriot Victor Axelsens from Denmark. So let's have a look at it, how he did it. He was going in this tournament for the third title in 3 weeks. He previously won the Yonex Thailand Open and the Toyota Thailand Open, I believe. Let me just check real quick. Victor Axelsens. So yeah, he won first the Yonex Thailand Open and then the Toyota Thailand Open, and he went at the World Tour Finals for his third title in 3 weeks. Very impressive. At this point nobody thought that Antonsen could stop him. The only one who people believed could stop Axelsens and stop his dominance was Momota. The head-to-head record between these two players was 3-2 in favor of Axelsens. Axelsens won 3 matches of the previous encounters with Antonsen, and Antonsen won 2 matches against Axelsens. Ahead of the match, Morten Frost makes an interesting comment saying about that the match depends all about the stamina of the two players, because Axelsens showed in the previous tournaments that he has a really good stamina. He used the time in quarantine, the time away from tournaments really well to strengthen his body, whereas Antonsen in a previous tournament lost to Vitingus, where he obviously lacked stamina and wasn't really at his best. So I completely agree at that point with Morten Frost. If Antonsen has not a good level of stamina, Axelsens will just very easily win that match. So it all comes down to if Antonsen is fit or not, because Axelsens clearly is fit. From the very first rally we can see why two players playing themselves from the same nation is much more different than playing a player from another nation, because when you train together in the national team you know your game very well, and Axelsens is known for his not so good services, and Antonsen immediately rushed to the service knowing that fact and tried to apply pressure and even ends up winning the rally. So 1-0 for Anders Antonsen. He wants Axelsens to feel the pressure right away. Next rally, indecision from Axelsens. Not good start from Axelsens, but on the other hand a very good start for Anders Antonsen. Axelsens is clearly unsettled. After winning his first point he shouted a lot, and the rally immediately after he did a mistake. So at the start of the match Antonsen seems to be the more steady of the two players. But after all it's just the start of the match, so that can change very quickly. Brilliant finish by Axelsens. Axelsens at that point seems to be slowly getting into the match, playing more patient as well, not rushing so much. Here at scoreboard 5-5, after Axelsens made a couple of good points, scoring winners with his attack and Antonsen doing an unforced error, Axelsens declines the shutter change to Anders Antonsen, who wanted to change the shutter. That means he wants to go with his momentum. He feels like, okay, I've scored a couple of points, my opponent is doing an unforced error, I don't want to let him change the shutter if he feels uncomfortable with it. He's already playing a very psychological game. He does not want to give any advantage to his opponent. He wants to stay in control. Even just small things, just like changing the shuttle, he declines. Immediately the next rally, Antonsen changes the shuttle, knowing that. So already at 6-5, a lot of psychological warfare between the two players. Because normally you only decline shuttles if you want to unsettle an opponent, or if an opponent beforehand has declined the shutter change without reason, like a kind of a revenge move. In that rally at 8-7 you can see a beautiful body attack by Axelsens, which also worked in the previous week perfectly against Vitingus, where he almost got no one back. Axelsens, when he goes full power, has a ferocious body attack, which is hard to defend for the opponent. Antonsen as well couldn't defend it. There you can see a weak service from Axelsens, and Antonsen, knowing that Axelsens has a weak serve, he immediately punishes it. Axelsen causing to have a weak serve is not just his kind of bad way of serving, it's also because Antonsen applying so much pressure at the net always on the service of Axelsen puts also psychological pressure on Axelsen. Since Axelsen knows that, he tends to do a more worse service because he pressurizes himself to play a good serve. And most of the times you play a good serve when you're relaxed and not when you're pressured and stiff and try to force a good serve. So in a way you could kinda say it was a forced bad service from Antonsen. Also when people tend to get nervous, the service tends to get bad as well. So psychology plays in badminton a huge role and a lot of people underestimate it. Like the mental part of the game. It's not all about technique and skill. Matches are won also just by mental strengths. Now I know that speaking from experience, I have lost matches because of mental weakness, but I also won many matches because of mental strengths and not necessarily because I was a stronger player than my opponent. Anders Antonsen goes into the mid-game interval with an advantage of 2 points with 11-9. So far, both players have been battling for the net. Nobody wants to give away the lifts, and Antonsen is quite happy with how the game is going so far. So Axelsen needs to change something, otherwise he will lose the first game. In the first game, scoreboard 12-14 in favor of Antonsen. The match has been going very much in favor of Antonsen because it has been very short rallies, not many long rallies. And Axelsen is clearly the fit of the two players. So if I were Axelsen at that point and I know that my opponent has not the best stamina, I wouldn't go so much aggressive, especially since Antonsen has not such a good stamina as Axelsen. So long rallies really favor Axelsen, but Axelsen tries to keep going on the attack and the game has been going in favor of Antonsen pretty much. He has not been working really hard for his points, and that also mirrors in the scoreboard. At 14-14, Axelsen is showing clear signs of frustration losing that rally because he has been in control the whole rally and then at the end makes a mistake. And Antonsen has been under pressure the whole time. But Antonsen gets away with it, and then now it's very likely that Axelsen, if he does another mistake, gets even more angry and it gets in kind of a loophole, in a rabbit hole where you keep thinking negative. And Axelsen does in the next rally another mistake. After getting annoyed at 14-14, losing the point to 15-14 for Antonsen, Axelsen wants to change the racket. A player only really wants to change the racket if A, the strings are broken, B, if he feels uncomfortable and tries to make up an excuse why he's playing bad. So if a player changes his racket when the strings are not broken, mentally he's not doing good. He's annoyed with his game. So it's kind of like, just like changing a shuttle. It's like, okay, I got a new shuttle, now everything is new, now next rally will be better. It's the same thing with the racket. Okay, I haven't been playing good with the old racket, so maybe if I change the racket, I will be playing better. It's just kind of tricking yourself to make you think, okay, now I will play better. And by thinking that, automatically you play slightly better. Just like a placebo effect. In case you don't know the placebo effect is where you get medicine which has no effect whatsoever, but you give it to a patient and tell him that it has this and this effect, and the patient believes you, and that way he heals believing that it will have that effect, and he automatically will feel better because he believes that the medicine helps him. It's the same thing with the racket change. You believe that the racket change will help you, so it will help you because you believe in that. Or kinda, it's not a given that it will help you, but it's more likely to help you if you believe in it. But most of you guys know the placebo effect probably anyway. Moving on. 17-14 for Antonsen. Axelsen is under pressure. Antonsen hasn't been really attacking, but at 17-14 he can see the finish line, so he will most likely go for a lot of attacking to try to finish the game really quick because it favors his bad stamina and he can secure the first game without putting too much effort and energy into it. Yeah, and just like I said, at 14-17 Antonsen goes for the first time in the match really for a couple of attacking shots, but Axelsen defends it well and ends up winning the rally. You can clearly see from the body language after the rally that Antonsen is hurting from long rallies. Axelsen was standing quite normally, but Antonsen was clearly breathing more hard than Axelsen. And in fact, the good rally at 17-14 was the longest rally of the match. So clearly, like I said before, long rallies favor Axelsen. His game plan should be to play more long rallies with Antonsen to tire him out. Very tactical ploy from Antonsen at game point, finishing the game, securing the first game, as he keeps playing repetitively to the forehand, and the winning shot, a beautiful forehand slice shot, also to the forehand. You can clearly see Axelsen first moving to the other side, expecting now finally a cross-court shot, but the final shot goes straight as well. Very clever play from Antonsen. Antonsen wins the first game 21-16. Although the rallies were really short at the first game, heavy breathing from Antonsen at the interval. Like if you compare Axelsen's breathing at the interval, it's much less noise. After changing ends, you can see Antonsen stepping back from the front service line after Axelsen plays the flick service winner, because from the side Axelsen is playing now, it's much more easier to hit good flick serves, meaning there's less pressure for him, so not much sense for Antonsen to pursue the very aggressive service returns, so he just takes a step back and takes a more relaxed approach in the second game, not attacking aggressively the serve like he did in the first game. You can clearly see Antonsen moving much more slow than he did in the first game. He plans on to not spend much energy in the second game. If he gets some easy points, he will try to win the second game, but otherwise he will just let it go and try to focus a lot of energy winning the third game by creating the biggest possible gap of points he can create between him and Axelsen up until the 11-point break, and see if that takes him home, see if that's enough for him to win the match. It's a very cool calculation of Antonsen. I've done that many times in the past as well. In general, you only do that though when your stamina is weak, so admittedly my stamina is not the best. The strategy is just winning the first game, that way you can relax, and if things go south and you're feeling your legs, you're feeling tired, you let the second game go, and then third game you go all out, creating a big gap so that you can take breaks in between the points and then run to the finish line, going all out. Since you got nothing to lose anyway. The problem is if you go all out trying to win the second game, and if your stamina is not the best and you end up losing the second game, you will most likely lose the third game very high. So I think it's just a very cool calculation of Antonsen, knowing that Axelsen is much fitter than Antonsen, so he just tries to make the best out of his stamina, makes the best out of his chances. And the scoreboard clearly reflects that strategy. 9-1 for Axelsen without putting a lot of effort into the shots. Antonsen is just going for winners, just playing casually most of the time. Not really trying to do anything which consumes a lot of energy out of his game. Obviously the second game is not really competitive and boring for the fans' point of view, since you want to see both players giving their best in each game. But you cannot really say that Antonsen is not giving his best, since he's trying to win the match, he's not trying to win each game, but his goal by not playing properly the second game is in the end to win the second game. Interesting fun fact though, if you pull out in a match against your own country, you won't get any ranking points from that match. I didn't know that fact either, but Gillian Clark pointed that out during the commentary of the match. Very interesting indeed. That makes sense to avoid any fraud like in World Championships by kind of giving a walkover to your contestant. I think it's a smart rule. At one point in the match, the umpire even tells Antonsen that he's gotta move more, gotta try to win the match, try to give his best effort, since it's a competition. That speaks more than 1,000 words how low effort Antonsen's putting in. Also, I have to say it's kind of sad to see a player at top 10 having such bad stamina that he has to resort to such tactics. If I am honest and not being objective in my analysis and just putting my own opinion in there as well. In a sense, it was very crucial for Axelsen to win the first game so that Antonsen does not get the second game to relax and rest. Because if Axelsen would have won the first game, Antonsen would have had to work 2 games 100%, and at that point he's not really capable of that. So it's kind of like whoever wins the first game has a chance at victory. But if Axelsen wins the first game, the chances for victory for Antonsen are very slim. But since Antonsen already won the first game, his victory chances are still there. Second game was won by Victor Axelsen 21-5, and now it will be shown if Antonsen effort will be enough to win the third game. Actually, before the game you can even see Antonsen warming up and trying to lose up, trying to get ready to jump into the match, score points from the get-go and be quick on his feet. And immediately from the get-go you can see Antonsen going 100% in the first rally, moving really quick and being very aggressive. Antonsen in general in the whole match tries to play a lot over Axelsen's forehand, since he knows that Axelsen's overhead action is deadly and Axelsen cannot produce as many winners from his forehand side as he can from his overhead action. Since it's harder for Axelsen to get behind the shuttle on the forehand side than on the backhand side. Here in that rally Axelsen manages to get behind the shuttle though, even though it's his forehand side, and he scores a winner and surprises Antonsen. Antonsen started out with a lot of energy and Axelsen replied with a lot of energy, kinda showing I'm ready for this fight, I'm ready. Don't underestimate me. Just sending a signal to Antonsen that it won't be easy to take the third game. Very steep smash here, scoreboard 2-2. Axelsen from the get-go is very vocal in the third game, much more vocal than the other games, as he feels that this third game is very important, especially the beginning. Since Antonsen has a kind of tendency to give up on the games when he is lagging behind a lot and he feels like there's not a winning chance anymore. So in many ways, creating a big score gap between the two players is important for both of them. At the end he goes 100% for the kill, and if Axelsen would have gotten that shot back, he wouldn't have gotten it back. He goes all out trying to score a winner, trying to score the point. When Antonsen decides to score the point, he goes all out. In many ways, kind of just like a kamikaze kind of playing. Although superior in physicality, Axelsen keeps letting shots fall which he thinks are maybe out, instead of just keeping on to play the rally, which when you analyze how the match is going is a bad decision. Since he's the stronger of the two players physique-wise, stamina-wise, so it would be much more smart to, instead of letting the shuttles fall, even if they're slightly out, just to keep on playing the rally, just to be sure when it's out, or just to keep Antonsen moving, keep tiring him out. It's a final game. He has not much left in the tank, so that's when you need to keep him moving and wait for the chance, and not giving him easy points by just letting the shuttle fall, since those are the points where Antonsen doesn't work hard. So Axelsen is kinda making it easy for Antonsen as of now. Again, scoreboard 6-6, Axelsen leaves the shuttle fall just to hope that it's out, instead of just playing on, giving Antonsen again an easy point without reason. And Antonsen ends up winning the next rally, so 2-point advantage for Antonsen. 8-6 third game. In the match in general, Antonsen has been scoring a lot of winners with his beautiful forehand slice drop shot on Axelsen's forehand side. It seems like he kind of exploited a small weakness in Axelsen's defense at that side. In the third game, Antonsen is going for every flat exchange opportunity that he gets, because he knows that he's superior than Axelsen in that kind of way, in playing flat exchanges. And since Axelsen is starting to get nervous, that is especially the case, and Axelsen starts doing more mistakes. Just like at 8-6, the point to 9-6, where Antonsen pushed to Victor Axelsen's body with a flat drive and Axelsen makes a mistake without much reason. It was a kind of nervous looking shot. It wasn't a winner from Antonsen, it was just a flat shot, and Axelsen plays it nervously into the net. So Axelsen is getting nervous, he's feeling his nerves, and Antonsen knows that. So the next few points are very crucial. At 7-9, Antonsen asks for the change. Again, Axelsen declines it. Second time that happens in the match. So clearly Axelsen is feeling nervous and he tries to get a mental edge over Antonsen. Antonsen very aggressive at the service and at pace. He gets an easy point with the service return. After missing the shot at 8-10, very emotional reaction from Axelsen. He's clearly showing that he's frustrated, that he's nervous. that he's feeling the pressure. Here we see it again. Axelsen indicating a motion where he kind of wants to throw his racket for missing that shot. Keep in mind, he missed that shot with the broken string, so it's hard to control the shuttle, but still he's angry at himself that he's lagging behind at the scoreboard at the 11-point break. In general, Anders Antonsen has the edge here, not just scoreboard-wise, also mental-wise. Antonsen hasn't really shown his emotions on court, not as much as Axelsen. In badminton, you don't want to show your opponent weakness. If you show emotion that you're feeling good, that you're feeling great. You want to show to your opponent that you're feeling confident. Only positive emotions. Because if you show your opponent emotions that you are frustrated, that you're nervous, and your opponent sees that and notices that, if he's nervous himself, he will start calming down, or at least he's more likely to calm down. He's more likely to feel secure. So you're kind of giving an advantage to your opponent. Obviously, sometimes you can't control your emotions, but as an experienced player like Axelsen is, that's just a no-go, and that's just a point he needs to improve on if he wants to win more consistently against strong mental game players like Antonsen. Like Vittingos beat Antonsen showing mental strengths. He showed from the get-go, hey man, I will play long rallies with you. You're not gonna get short, easy points. And that's why Vittingos won so clearly against Antonsen. Antonsen was tired and he felt like, man, this guy is not giving me any easy points, not any short rallies. I cannot keep up with him. And Vittingos showed that on court. Even though he was nervous, he showed that mental fortitude. He showed his mental strengths. And Axelsen did that periodically. He did that at the beginning of the third game, but now it kind of shifted. Axelsen asked to change the shuttle and Antonsen agrees. That's another indication of how sure of himself Antonsen is at that point. Because if he wouldn't feel sure, he most likely would decline the shuttle change. But that's just another way of showing his confidence to Axelsen. Just like, okay, you want to change the shuttle? Go change it. I will still be in an advantage. I will still think that I can win. Axelsen really frustrated again. He has a good chance, misses opportunity and immediately shows emotion. Here again, misses a smash and immediately gets pissed at himself. At scoreboard 12-9, Jillian Clark in the commentary points also something interesting out. She said that Steen Pedersen told her that the only player who can beat Axelsen that week is Axelsen himself. And in many ways that was kind of true, since Antonsen obviously is playing well in the third game, but he's using that fact that Axelsen is getting annoyed at himself to apply more pressure on him, to get him more nervous, to get some easy points. So in many ways, if Axelsen would stay calm, it would not be as smooth going as for Antonsen as it is as of now. So in many ways, the saying of Steen Pedersen is kind of true. Hope I made the point clear that I'm not trying to take away anything from Antonsen, since he's playing great in the third game. Very beautiful follow-up at that rally, and Axelsen keeps getting more annoyed. Just like with that smash. Axelsen is kinda that much nervous that he does what many players do when they get nervous. They hope, oh please let the shuttle fall, please let the shuttle fall, please let me get some easy points. Like when they react to a shot too late, they kinda, instead of moving and trying to get the shuttle back, they kinda hope for some easy points because they're feeling so nervous. They're not feeling confident. So they rather sometimes hope that the shuttle flies out instead of moving and just playing. And that's what Axelsen does here as well. He hopes for the shuttle to be out, but Antonsen plays a beautiful smash and it's in. More pressure to Axelsen. Antonsen celebrates after winning the point because he knows how important winning that point is. To have a 5-point cushion against Axelsen, to keep his pressure high against him. Antonsen really can see the light of the tunnel now, just like Morten Frost likes to say. And when Antonsen can see that, he becomes a very dangerous player. When Antonsen saw the light at the end of the tunnel, he beat Momota. He beat many strong players when he did that. Again at 14-15, Antonsen scores a smash winner, although Axelsen could have taken it. He is just hoping too much on these lines. He's way too much hoping that Antonsen plays out, trying to get an easy point instead of playing it. Showing at that point clearly that although his nerves are more calm, he's still nervous and still not entirely calmed down. And gifting that point that easily with the same mistake he did earlier does certainly not help calm his nerves. That's pure tension. Axelsen is very tensed. Antonsen misses an easy shot, and it's the first time in the match you really see frustration. He drops his racket in disbelief. For Axelsen, a very big comeback. From 9-15 deficit, 8 of the last 9 points went to Axelsen. Antonsen immediately attacks the serve. It's the closing down to the end of the match, and Antonsen is very furious, fast. He tries to score very fast, very aggressive. He's scoring 2 points in a row, playing very strongly. It's a very fast, aggressive approach from Antonsen, although energy consuming, is paying off. He has a 2-point advantage and is only 2 points away from taking the title at 19-17. 3 match point opportunities arrive for Antonsen after playing a very strong attacking game. And Antonsen ends up winning the match against Axelsen, ending the long win streak of Axelsen, a man who most people believed to not be beatable until Momota arrives back to beat him, but Antonsen proved them wrong. Anyways, do you agree with the analysis? Leave your feedback and opinions in the comments down below. What you think about the analysis? With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did like it, consider giving me a like and subscribing to my channel, and I see you guys in the next video.